press 1. If you're ready to have some serious fun for the chance to redeem some serious prizes, press 2. We heard you loud and clear. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com right now and play over 100 social casino-style games for free. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the Stansberry Show. Rock 106.9.
And welcome to Tuesday morning on the Stansberry Show. We're online for you at WRQK.com. If you missed Monday's program, last week's shows, last month's shows, last year's shows, get them all right there at WRQK.com. You can also follow along on my socials, the Stansberry Show, across them. And weighing in on any subject matter throughout the program is easy. The text line at your disposal, that at 330-450-7625. And also the microphone talkback button on iHeartRadio, an easy way to weigh in. Let us know what you're thinking. And a lot of people choose to do that Tuesdays at 9 when we roll you through New Tour Tuesday. What this is I take new songs, play them, judge them accordingly. We bar no musical format here. As a matter of fact, we encourage local artists to send your stuff in, and we would like to get you played. Today, I have new MGK featuring Jelly Roll, Lonely Road.
You make me
Lonely Road. Oh, so we're going to ruin that song. Okay, so we're going to ruin that song. Okay, I got it. Take me home. Bands and who should play the Super Bowl, and oh my God, we might be ready. And I made the point yesterday, and I think I'm right about it, that America is one of the least metal countries around the world. I think metal is more accepted in other countries, and talking to plenty of metal bands over the years as I have, they have all, to a man, absolutely have told me that. That the albums sell better over there, the crowds are better, they sell more tickets, everybody's just more into the metal thing over there. And one of the bands that got mentioned about maybe playing the Super Bowl halftime show was System of a Down. And I said, well, look, I'm just not the biggest fan. I feel like they're a tad overrated, just a tad overrated. But they are good at what they do. But for me, it's just, I like the hits. I don't necessarily need a lot of album cuts from System of a Down. They're just not my thing. But when I went to put together New Tour Tuesday after the show yesterday, I noticed Serge, the lead singer of System of a Down, Tanakin, right? I believe is how you pronounce that. He's back with a new song on his own. Justice Will Shine On, I believe is the name of this. Very recognizable voice, obviously. One of the most recognizable voices in music, I would think. Can you tell me Like, just that first note, I would have been like, oh, new system. Now, you would have told me, no, it's just new surge, and I would have been like, Although Darren wrote a lot of that stuff. It's like the soundtrack to make a Molotov cocktails, right? Like, it's just like, that's what it sounds like to me every time. I don't know if admitting your demons is the way to go, but there we go. That is a new surge to knock, and we will get you that part of New Turk Tuesday headed your way, 9 a.m. Also this morning at 8 o'clock, what I want to try to figure out is, parents, most of you are, would you be willing to turn your son or daughter in if you knew for sure and had evidence that they have committed a crime? A woman has done this. I would like to think we would all turn our children in for this crime, but I'm suspicious some of you would have an issue turning your son or daughter in. So we'll get into that, and hopefully some of you will let us know your true opinions, again, using that text line. That at 330-450-7625, or the microphone talkback button, that on iHeartRadio. Also, Rob Schneider, of all people, had an issue with the Olympics opening ceremony. We'll get to his absolute astounding amount of hypocrisy. We will do that coming up at 7 o'clock this morning. But next, Deshaun Watson has split the fan base yet again. Let's get into that next on The Stansbury Show. Welcome back to The Stansbury Show. New Turk Tuesday at 9, new MGK and Jelly Roll, new Post Malone and Luke Combs, and new Serge Tanaka. Pretty star-studded this morning at 9 a.m. I'll take that lineup. Pretty good there. It's all eyes on Canton this week as Hall of Fame week is officially underway. A buddy of mine, listener of ours actually, works at the airport, and he sent me the photo yesterday. He's like, look, man, the Colts are in town, right? And so, like, the team planes are starting to get into town, right? This is when we start to get really, really busy. I remember when I first moved here, people would tell me all the time, oh, dude, I got to be honest with you, man. Hall of Fame weeks is, dude, that's the week I get out of here. That's the week my family and I take vacation. I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about? It's like the one thing that happens all year in Ohio, and like, you're going to hightail it out of town when it's going down? And I thought it was nuts. But I've been here 10 years now. You know what I mean? And now I'm kind of like, yeah, I think I might get it. I think I might understand that. But I plan on staying in town, taking part, doing the festivities, having the fun and the like. And Thursday, we get a game. Now, I wish we were going to see Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud play too, but we're probably not going to, right? Probably have to wait until the regular season to get that, as Bears and Texans Thursday night here in town for anybody that may not know. I mention it because USA Today is going crazy about Deshaun Watson. Now, people have written Deshaun Watson off because of what the accusations are. I could understand it. If you're a GM and you're like, he's off my board, I could understand it. Colin Cowherd, a broadcaster yesterday, while talking about quarterback contracts, said there's 3 in the league I don't like. It was Daniel Jones, I know he didn't like because he didn't like the player. And he said Tua's contract is too high. I wouldn't have paid that for Tua. And he said, Deshaun Watson's just off my board completely. I don't want anything to do with it. I can understand. I really can. But they asked Deshaun Watson the other day, what is different this year coming in? Pretty standard question.
I love you.
You're going to ask athletes that. So standard that I would imagine that most of them probably have a stock answer ready to go. Deshaun decided to give you a little bit of honesty. And people don't always love honesty. They tell you that's what they want to hear, but when they get it, then they're upset by it. That's been true with me sometimes. So they just asked him, what is different? Here's what he said in response. Quote, honestly, it's just picking out all the BS outside. That stuff coming in 2 years, different environment, different team, different all that. So you come in and your character is being mentioned in this way, and it kind of flip on you, and you're trying to get people to like you or improve.
I feel better.
But now it's like at the end of the day, it's 2 years in, and if you don't like me or if you have your own opinion, it is what it is. Blocking out all the noise and focusing on me, focusing on what I need to do to be the best Deshaun Watson I could be for myself, for my family, and for my team. Now, people, that's the end of the quote. people are going over this with a fine-tooth comb, calling the BS. It's like, well, Deshaun, dismissing this as BS makes you look crazy. That's the argument, and I understand that too. But the player has told you he believes he's innocent from the beginning. Now, I know nobody's ever going to show up and go, I'm guilty, so I understand why people are calling me names. And that's kind of what this reporter's expecting him to do. And it's like, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And I understand, and I wish this wasn't true, but I am going to have to make concessions in order to be a fan of things. A fan of TV shows, of a political candidate, of an athlete. They are human beings. Concessions will be made in order for me to be a fan of things. It's just how that's going to go. I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns, not necessarily of Deshaun Watson.
Still close there, sweetheart.
Now, I have to root for Deshaun to be good in order for me to get what I want from the team. Yeah, I kind of wish that wasn't true too, but here we are. I'm not surprised he answered it. And I don't even think it's all that egregious in order to do that. Because what I take from the comment is, he's talking about his teammates, not you, not me, not the media, not that, because he knows he can't change any of that.
The rabbit, sweetheart.
I think what he's saying here, and I could be wrong, but
so.
What I'm reading here is, I've been here 2 years. If you're in the locker room with me, if you're on the coaching staff, if you're on this, if you're around the team, if you haven't figured out that I'm Deshaun Watson, who I'm telling you I am by now, then there's no helping me or you with that. I think that's what he's saying, which is what I expect most people to say. Now, this is what I'm going to say next is not a defense of him.
Still don't know. I forgot
isn't.
where's the.
But it has been 2 years since he's been here.
Kids.
And we've all been kind of waiting on the edge of our seat for that other shoe to drop.
Are still like.
When the new thing kind of comes out of nowhere, and here we go, where people could look and go, well, we tried to tell
like
you.
Banks is cool.
How much of a smoking gun did you need laying on the goddamn ground before you figured out what happened here?
Mostly the kids like that.
Been 2 years and we haven't had one.
They're thinking everything is cool.
I don't know if that means he's innocent.
They're thinking everything they can.
I don't know that. Like I said about the amount of accusers when we signed it. People were like, oh, this many accusers clearly means you're guilty. I said, well, yes, I understand how people think that. I actually think less accusers coming forward and more credible stories actually would tell me you're guilty. There is a point, once you get to a certain number, it's like, well, how many of these are piling on? Did we start with it all chum in the water, so here come the sharks? Because it can feel that way too once you get to a large number of accusations. How do you want to spin that? My problem with Deshaun is later on in said interview, he said he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. I don't pay attention to what people say. The athlete's always lying when they say that. It can't be BS for 2 years, and I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Somebody tried to tell me this on my socials the other day. Both can be true. No, they really can't. Not at the same time. If you don't care what people say about you, then it isn't BS in your mind. Right? Now, I guess what you could say is, Stansbury, come on. People hassle you all day in your mentions. You don't really care, but it is annoying. Okay. I could maybe grant you that. I think the bigger thing that's probably true of Deshaun is this. The only way these time, I believe, you cared 2 years ago, now you've realized there's no sense in it. And so now, moving forward, I'm going to try not to care about it as much.
I think that's someone's private property.
But Deshaun Watson,
They
any
just
other
store
celebrity
things
is
there
just
once in a
like
while.
you,
That's
and
probably
they're
what
just
happened
like
with
me.
that boat.
People care what other people think. It's literally what drives every decision you've ever made. It's why you want expensive cars. It's why you want nice shoes. It's why you want to live in the right neighborhood. You want people to think you are doing better than they are. It's part of it.
I'm pretty sure
the house in the right neighborhood. You're looking for the school district. I
YouTube's
get it,
been
parents. I
throttling
got it.
our
But part of that
streams.
is so you can benefit your kids go to the right
I said
school.
I'm pretty
right?
sure YouTube's been
Yeah, you kind of
throttling
want
our
them to be polar
streams.
bears, don't you?
slowing the traffic down.
And as we're going to talk athletes,
For about
we've
2
got
weeks
some
now, we've been getting like
drama going on. I watched
4 to 6 views
a new
instead of
docu-series
upwards of 200.
Really?
Hustle,
Why?
I believe is what
I
it's
don't know.
called. That was his nickname. I believe
It's
that's
been going on
Max.
for like 2
I
weeks now
watched
that
that.
I've been watching it.
Man, was
So
that
YouTube
good.
are controlling
I mean,
their.
it was just really, really good. He's one of those guys, man. He doesn't
They're paying, I
understand
think.
that he keeps stepping in it. He's one of those. Pete Rose was one of those guys that, in an apology, he will step right back into it and make the apologies worse than what he's
It's hard
apologizing
to know
for
what's
sometimes.
going on.
Some of that stuff is pretty wild. So.
That algorithm's always changing.
Got Max, and you enjoy baseball or sports or just human
It's been
interest stories at
noticeable.
all, I would watch that, man. I thought it was actually pretty interesting. We were talking about Deshaun. Because at training camp, they asked him, what's kind of different this year, and, we'll paraphrase
Even
here,
on
touch
my,
base, block it out of them.
Even on the feed on my team.
And then he went on to say, I don't care anything about this. If you block it out, you do care a little, right? Now, can we be
A lot of
honest?
the videos are
that
like
even if
AI
you're the kind of person
generated.
who's like, I don't care what the haters do.
They're almost
I don't care.
unwatchable.
Yes, you do. But first, you do. But, okay. Could we admit that even if you're the kind of person who likes to pretend that you don't care what people think about you, that you would care if people called you a sexual assailant? Rapist, if you will? Right? Like, you would care if that's what people said about you. I would care if that's what people were saying. Plenty, by the way, gets said about me. Plenty. I can't tell you how many times a month somebody I know will come up to me like, oh, did you hear the new one about you? No. There's a new one about me? Did you hear the new one about you? Happens all the time. Most of the time, I just sit back and laugh. I'm like, that's insane. Occasionally, I'll just get high on Saturday night and go to Wikipedia and be like, that's not true, that's not true. No, dude, they did not fire Maxwell for that. It was this. Like, that's not true, that's not true. This isn't true. I was there. This is, right? Like, sometimes you got to do that. Now, I don't go in there and comment and do all that stuff because you're just going to breathe more life into it. But most of the things you don't care what people say. If people were calling me a rapist, bro, let me just tell you, I'm going to have an issue. I'm going to have an issue with that. Beyond that, would it create performance issues in here? I think the answer is yes. My job is very mental. Much like I told you, last week, a good amount of rest gives you a better radio show than if I stay up all night. Right? Of course it would. Being mentally clear would at least help create better performances for you, and that's the goal. I do this for you. Well, I do it for me too, but I do it for you, right? Like that's what the goal of this. If that's what people were saying, and they truly believed it, not just like one idiot who's going to text the line right now to call me to see if he can flip me out. No, I'm throwing you to the wolves so they can laugh at you to get to the 50. That's what I'm doing. You're being used, not me, but whatever. Right? But if people were legitimately calling me a racist, a rapist, or whatever, like that did get to me. Right? Like, dude, people were calling me, hi Chuck, calling me Klansberry. Because they think he's secretly all red. And that one did kind of bother me. I don't want people to think that. I understand people are wanting to think things about me. And I understand most reasonable people don't walk away thinking those things about me. But if the bulk of society, and it seems like that's what it is with Deshaun Watson, if the bulk of society was like, dude, that guy touches women inappropriately, he rapes women, sexually assails, whatever the thing is, let me just tell you, this show's probably not going to be as good those couple of months. Now, I know how people listen to the radio. Oh my God, is he trying to make excuses for Deshaun Watson now on why he didn't throw good passes? No. Reasons and excuses aren't always the same thing. But every athlete likes to tell you, I block out the noise, I do this, no haters, blah, 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 keep it 100. They're all lying, every last one. I will always use the Kevin Durant as the point of reference. Draymond Green called him a bitch while he was Golden State Warrior, and homie got his little balls and feelings hurt, had to pack up his stuff and leave. Oh, call me a bitch. Can't get past it. And then every media member was like, this is what happened, and he called them all fake news. He literally used that term, fake news, because I remember saying, look at what everybody's stealing from Big Homie over here now. The fake news moniker. And sure enough, what did end up happening? 4 or 5 months after he leaves Golden State, he finds himself on a pod and he wants to tell you the story. He's pissed that the journalist had the story and told you, and then admits, yeah, Draymond kind of called me a bitch and I didn't really like it. It was time to go. Fake news. We're keeping it 100. No, they aren't. You can never, and I mean ever, believe the athlete ever. Would you turn your kid in if you had evidence they committed a crime? Would it matter what the crime was? 8 a.m. this morning. We'll take your thoughts on that using the text line at 330-450-7625. Also the microphone talkback button on iHeartRadio. Easy. We'll get there today. All right. People will often ask how I put the show together. And I've told you before, what I do is pretty much read all day and I send myself emails, and then around about 7 o'clock at night, I'll be like, all right, I kind of like these 9 to 12 things. Let's see if we can get to all of these tomorrow. And then I come in the first thing in the morning and kind of check, all right, this happened overnight and this kind of happened, and then we'll kind of move, the rundown is what I'll call it. I'll move it around a little. Right? Then what you hope is that you get on the air, things start really clicking. You look at the 4 things you're not going to get to and be like, all right, well, I guess we'll get to those tomorrow. You also look at when you talk about things. The hours do matter when you're putting things together, right? I would have normally moved what we're going to talk about now till 9 o'clock because we spent a good portion of yesterday's program at 7 talking about the Olympics. We have the new music segment today at 9, and what I want to talk about at 8 is kind of gross, and so I wanted to wait until a little later in the morning to get there. So we have to talk Olympics again here in this hour. And the theory is you kind of want to move stuff around because people are habitual, right? You probably are driving to your office the same time every day, right? So you kind of want to move stuff around so people don't be like, dude, this is talking about this every second of every day, right? It's kind of how it works. So I'm just giving you some reasoning on why we're going to harp on the Olympics again in this hour, back-to-back days. Rob Schneider, comedian, who has been going through it a lot. I think he was performing about a month ago, and people were like, had to, apologize after what was said on the stage and all kinds of stuff. He obviously hails from SNL. He doesn't necessarily seem to pal around with the Adam Sandler crew as much as he used to. David Spade still seems to be in good graces with Adam and the like. It doesn't seem like Rob still is all that much, although I guess I don't. Rob, the latest, to tell all the Olympians. Quote, I'm sorry to say, all the world's greatest athletes, I wish you all the best, but I cannot watch an Olympics that disrespects Christianity and openly celebrates Satan. Schneider had wrote on X, formerly Twitter, we know, that Sunday. I sincerely hope these Olympics get the same amount of viewers as C-SPAN. In another tweet, apparently, he included a photo from the drag performance and wrote, guys with their genitalia hanging out in front of children, drag queens. I wasn't sure if I was watching the Olympics or if I was watching a school board meeting, right? Because a lot has been made recently about how many trans people are, teachers, or, they're bringing trans people in to read to students at schools and different districts and different states and the like, and people have an issue. Okay, so I posted the podcast yesterday and we titled it, Was the Olympic Opening Satanic? And sure enough, a friend of mine who lives in the opposite side of the country screenshot that, sent it back to me with the eye roll emoji. And I said, well, my answer was no. Just so you know. People really felt like there was a direct line between the opening of that and the Last Supper image, which again is an image. It would have also been known as a Seder, but whatever. Let's not confuse everybody, right? And so that's what that would have been, though. And people get real upset when you start pointing that out. But we've seen this image, I guess, altered is a good word to use there, plenty of times. As a matter of fact, I've seen a painting of the Last Supper with Donald Trump in the center. That feels like we're mocking Christianity a little. Kind of does. there. Now, of course, the organizers of the Olympics was like, oh, all of these people are crazy. It had nothing to do with this. It was an homage to Greek gods and the beginning of the Greek games and all of these things. We'll get to that lie in a second because one of the performers has had to delete some things off her for Instagram because she said, no, that's exactly what we were doing. We'll get there here in a second. Rob Schneider, of course, is being called a hypocrite. Why? Well, see, Rob Schneider was in a movie where he dressed like a woman. I believe with the really good, clear motive of tricking another woman in order to have sex with her, right? Memory serves, that's the plot of the movie. Here, I'll pass myself off as a woman because women are so dumb, they won't be able to tell I'm a man wearing a dress, and then this will be a funny movie. So, you were willing to do this in order for you to get paid. But it's a problem when we open the Olympics this week. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Stansberry, a comedy movie and the opening of the Olympics are very different. Well, I won't argue that. But if your issue is men dressed as women, then maybe what you shouldn't have done is not only, wait for it, star in a movie where a man dresses like a woman. You know what else he did to that movie, don't you? Oh yeah, that's right, baby. He wrote it. He wrote it! And so I guess my thing is this, that what Rob is saying here, and I would disagree with this, that it is okay to dress up as a woman for satire and entertainment. But it is not okay for a man to present as a woman just because it's Tuesday. I would disagree with that. Because preventing one is how you prevent the satire. And there you lose me. I don't agree with all pieces of satire. Looking at you, Elon. But if SNL gets to be parody, then so does Elon. That's kind of how that works. And so if Rob Schneider gets to dress up as a woman, and by the way, where was all that in the 90s? Look at this agenda. Men in dresses. Oh my God, Hollywood. Or did we all just kind of laugh at a man dressed as a woman? Now, I guess it's different because people aren't dressing as a woman to try to make people laugh. People are dressing as, you know what the hell's going on out there. I don't need to get all the way in the muck and the mire of that. But this seems insane to me. It really does. It's like, bro, if you wrote a movie putting a man in drag, I don't know if you get to be the one that complains about this. Testicles hanging out. Now, we've seen a couple of different rebuttals on this. It's a hole in the stocking that looks like testicles. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna need a better version of the Zapruder film on that one, because like the photos I saw were inconclusive at best. And given the fact that we've seen these situations like this and people washing themselves in a fountain in the center of town square in front of children, I'm not going to be shocked that somebody had their balls hanging out at the Olympics. Like, seriously, man. Like, isn't that part of the problem? Is that you can't automatically look at it and dismiss it as a rip in the stocking? That you can't? That your first thought is this because, well, I don't know, we've seen it before? That's kind of the issue. I understand people being upset about that. By the way, the man who curated this is trying to pass this off as it was not making a mockery of the Last Supper. However, somebody who was in the shot, and I mean front and center of said shot, said, no, that's exactly what we were doing. And we'll get to that next on the Stansberry Show. 9 a.m. is New Tour Tuesday. New Serge Snokken part of that. Justice Will Shine On. Take a listen to that. We had been talking about the Olympics opening again, and it's because people have said that they have boycotted this. Now, one of the things I didn't talk about was the ratings yet. And we saw yesterday, oh my God, despite the calls for the boycott, the Olympics opening is the highest rated since 2016. Now that sounds like it's a big deal, doesn't it? It's not. The Olympics happen every 4 years. So you mean to tell me you had a bigger opening than in 2020? See, but Biggest one since 2016 makes it sound like they're dominating, and all of this pushback against the opening is nothing. It's a nothing burger. See, we had huge opening. You mean from the COVID Olympics? you had an increase from that one, did you? Biggest one since 2016. I know, it sounds like a victory lap. It ain't. It's not. Say what you want. I'm in the ratings game, baby. Let me just tell you, that is a hustle if I've ever seen one. For sure it is. Now, Christians felt like they were mocked with the opening of the Olympics. I'm not overly religious. I said that yesterday. I was raised by a minister, yes. I'm not overly religious myself. I didn't feel mocked or called. But I said, people, of course, were going to think this was a reference to the Last Supper. For sure, they're going to think that. If you're dumb, because worked as an excuse. Except one of the absolutely thought what they were doing is mocking the Last Supper. See, because what Barbara Batch is hurting. And she posted the Olympic opening photo because she's front and center in the middle of it. One little heart logo with their hands. Little heart logo with the hands. She's that lady. She posted that photo of them up top. Underneath it, a standard painting of the Last Supper. Oh, you want to know what she posted in like the description of her post on Instagram? Would you like to know what that says? Okay, here it is. Oh yes, the new gay testament. So that's what one of the performers thought they were doing. And were shocked that that's what the audience thought they were doing. I don't know if we get to be like, I can't believe people would draw this conclusion. Oh. Come on, you don't get to be shocked by that. You don't get to push back that hard on that. You don't. You knew what you were doing here. You did. You gave yourself the plausible deniability of the Greek god and the almost. I know. You know how many things I do on here where I give myself the out of plausible deniability? Well, I didn't know. Yes, you can make fun of the Christians as much as you want, dude, and nobody cares. I've said that a million times in here. And a million times what followed that statement was this. Baby, I know for sure I'm telling the truth because I built a career on it early in my career. As I had anger and grief that it was not yet resolved about Christians and the treatment of my mother after my father died. So I went on a verbal assault for a decade.